Hello, I'm Heather from Creative Kiwi. This video was all about how we make our In the Hoop 3D flower. Now I apologise in advance, I'm not a great video maker and I do have a strange Kiwi accent. But this video is designed just to show you the techniques we use when we make our 3D flower. These flowers are made in the 4x4 or 5x5 hoop. You basically create 5 petals and then join them all together in the last hooping. I do want to say that this is not a beginner project. I mean, obviously there is really no reason if you are a complete beginner that you couldn't do it, but I just think the final step of joining, if you have already completed one of our large appliques with the join, it will just be much easier for you. I haven't videoed showing how we make the actual petals. It's all included in the instructions and it's pretty basic. It does show on screen. You hit your water-soluble stabilizer, do your outline, you add your piece of batting and then cut away the excess, put your piece of fabric on, do the outline, then we have the flower quilting, the inner flower detail, put a backing on to the hoop, cut away the excess, and then you basically do your last satin stitch to make your petal. Fairly standard, and so you need to make 5 of those. After much testing, the secret to this design is in how you fold the petal. So basically I've got the same design here. The purple one was one of my earlier ones, and then we've got the orange one. Now the only difference in how much the 3D effect they have is actually how we fold the petal. So I'll go into a little bit of detail about how we do that. The first important thing with the petals, and you'll see it on screen in a moment, is you fold the petal from right to the left. That's going to follow the way your sewing machine stitches, and it's going to help you not get your presser foot caught. The next important thing is not to get a fold when you're folding. I'm showing it on screen now. You can see that's what the purple one's like. It's kind of folded. What you're doing is you're folding it up and making, I guess, like a chair. If you see in the photo, it actually stands up. That will give you the full 3D effect. Have a play with your petals. You'll see it when you're doing it. You'll actually see exactly what I mean. Once you actually are happy with how you have your petal, that's when you get your trusty old piece of, we call it masking tape, could be painter's tape, and you stick it down. So you've got a very flat edge to stitch over, and that's what you're going to put on your machine. Okay, the next step is adding the petals. Now, it may look a little bit intimidating, but I'm sure you've done our designs before and you understand our joining technique. Basically, I'll go through it now, but just the usual, you're going to hoop your water soluble and stitch the first stitch, which is the guideline, and that will give you all your petal positioning and where to go from there. Let's get started. So you've got your guideline stitched, and you're going to place each petal basically in one of those segments, as you can see on screen. Using your masking tape, you're going to tape it down, and you're going to have a fairly flat edge at that point. Now the machine's going to stitch the first line, and you really don't want to walk away from these ones. Once you're happy with that, and you've caught everything in, and you know that the petal is attached and it's between the guidelines, you're going to stitch the next colour, which is just going to go back and do another pass just to really hold that petal down. Now I found with all of mine, this first one and the next one, the second petal, are probably the hardest because it's sort of an awkward position on your sewing machine. But you can take your hoop out. You can see what we're doing. We're just placing it in there, just in between those two guidelines, and sticking down with your masking tape and just really making sure you've got that whole flat edge to stitch. So here we go again. And yeah, I was happy with the placement. Everything's caught in, and I'm stitching back again. You're going to do this for all of the petals. I have shown it here, just so you can see. It gets easier. The next ones are quite easy. And here we go again. But as I say, definitely not a design where you want to set your machine going and then walk away, because you'll come back and something will be caught in the presser foot. So there we go, petal number 3, and it's going back for that second pass. And again for your fourth petal. As you can see, when you've got the petal folded properly and you've got your masking tape, it is quite flat. You're not actually stitching on anything too bulky. That's how we got it all nice. And then the last one. I guess you can see now in the machine, you can see it has some of that 3D effect is actually, it's quite good. Doesn't show in the video as much, but yeah. And here we go, the last one. Now if you're worried about doing this part, slow your machine down. You don't have to go fast at all. And we've got the last stitch back, and that's probably one of the hardest bits done. Okay, the next bit's probably pretty self-explanatory. You're going to remove all that tape, and what we're going to do is have a bit of a whip round the centre just to cut away some of the little bulky edges. Probably the hardest part's taking that tape off. Now I get asked quite often, what are the best scissors to use and what do you use? Now I have about 5 or 6 different pairs of scissors that I use for all sorts of different things, and to be honest, it's just the ones that are the sharpest, particularly for this one because you're actually cutting away a couple of wee bits of fabric there. So just use your sharpest scissors. Okay, we're in the last stretch now. We're going to put the hoop back on the machine and put your backing fabric underneath. I just floated under. Now you put your fabric. Now this particular video I haven't got any batting in the middle. It's personal preference really. Depending on how you're going to actually use the flower. This particular one for me, I was going to be under a flower pot, so I haven't done batting or the decorative stitch. Now, in the instructions, you can choose whether you want to put a wee decorative stitch on top there or not. Completely personal preference. And I guess pretty self-explanatory what's happening here now. We're going to cut away the excess fabric on the front and the back, just as we do usually. At this point, if you do want the back to look nice, you could change your bobbin and put a matching thread in there, like the dark purple like I've got. So it really depends. If it's always going to be on the sitting on a table, then just use your normal old bobbin thread. Again, personal preference. We're just about to get there on the video. You put your hook back into the machine, and then you're just going to stitch the final stitch, which is the zigzag and then a satin stitch edge. Once again, not a good time to run away from the machine. By this point, I mean, yeah, you're unlikely to have anything caught, but there is a wee bit of bulk there on the edges, so I would stand by your machine and watch it while it's doing this. That's it, they're all done. You do the usual thing that's in the instructions, is use a bit of warm water on the excess water soluble stabilizer just to remove all traces of it. And then yeah, you've got your little flower there to display. You can see with the orange one, you're never going to see that purple inner. That's why I didn't worry too much about the centre. But I think they look quite good, two of them together. And particularly like with my first one, I think the purple one, it's not quite as 3D. So when you put the second one on, it looks quite good together. I hope you enjoy the design, and be sure to join our Facebook group. That way you can share your photos of what you've made and also see what other people have made. And believe me, obviously even like something like this simple design, I guarantee someone's going to do something amazing with it. So thank you. Bye.